Hello everyone, welcome back to another Deadline stream. This is the final one before the international break coming next week. Unfortunately already, I don't know how we have another international break, but I suppose let's make the most of it. Hopefully we get a green arrow this week. Another small red for me in game week 6. Let me bring up my team for this week, or some of the fixtures. So we've quite a bit to discuss this game week. Of course, Liverpool are the early kickoff today, so a lot of people who own Luis Diaz were looking for team news. Of course, we have a lot of 3 o'clock kickoffs today as well, and that Man City one in particular will be looking to see if Rico Lewis starts. So definitely will be waiting for some team news later. How that will impact my own team, I'm not quite sure, but I'm sure it'll impact a lot of you in chat. Good to see all of you in chat. We got Restock, we got Douche C, is that how I say that? Kean, of course, Karma, and George. Good morning. So, as usual, I'm quite bunged up in the morning. This time I'm actually sick. I don't know how I pick up something every single time. So, definitely a good run of fixtures today. I'm excited to actually watch football again. I love it every week, regardless of FPL. And it keeps me busy. Morning, Roger McSweeney. And we'll start answering some of your questions. So, if you have any questions, be sure to drop them in. I'm going to show you my team now. If you're wondering why I keep looking to my right, I've got a monitor that has got my team and some questions that you guys have. So, there is my team. You might have already seen it from my team selection video or on Twitter. But it is very, very good for this week. Of course, we wildcarded in game week 6, which I was quite happy with. It didn't go quite well. Again, only 47 points last week. But I think this week we should be aiming for much higher. Good morning, Sharif. Keaton chat, Haaland blanks, and Arsenal 6-0. You heard it here first. I wonder, are you an Arsenal fan or something, Keith? Nugget says, Guardiola or Lewis starts. So, Lewis has had 3 starts in a row for City. Are we going to see a 4th when Walker got rested? I'm unsure unless he plays midweek. Let's see. Again, I don't see a Lewis start likely if I'm being honest, but again, I wouldn't be surprised. Solanke or Watkins? I actually prefer Solanke. Again, say what you want, but Spurs are second or third for expected goals this season, and Solanke wasn't involved in like 2 or 3 of the games, so I think for 7.5, Solanke's your man. Morning, James. Luxus Bonto. Jacob, the double triple up. Yeah, I'm really high on the City triple up. I feel like it's been quite unfortunate last week. A lot of people are not there as well, so I think if I can just get 1 clean sheet, I'll see a big red arrow. Again, I just feel like if Lewis starts, he has the opportunity for a 12-pointer, a bit like Cancelo back in the day. Just the positions he's picking up. He might necessarily be the best passer in the world, but I think he's getting in areas where he's just continuously going to get chances. Of course, clocking a 1.6 XGI in midweek in the Champions League, and also picking up an assist. So, good morning, says Jasada. He says Eze or Woods. I assume that's Chris Wood. I would say Eze. Again, Eze is one that I want to talk about quite a bit. I think I'm going to bring in Eze next week, and I left the exact amount of funds. So I have 3 free transfers and 1.3 million in the bank, and that is the exact money to do Semenyo up to an Eze next week. Now, Crystal Palace are on some terrible, terrible form, don't get me wrong, and I was actually going to make a tweet about it, but I just feel like Eze is still the focal point of that team, and he still has some really good underlying numbers, considering they've been battered the first few games. But yeah, I still like Eze as an option. I think if you have him, I can understand why you'd want to move him on. There's a good few options, but I think long term, Eze is still the guy after this week. Yeah, Brendan Johnson is one that we'll be speaking about, and I think we'll be continuing to speak about him as the weeks go on. He's picking up some form, lads, and I love him. I know Big Ange absolutely loves him too, and I mean, confidence was always going to be the thing with Brendan Johnson. I think we've seen for a few weeks now, when he wasn't on good form, that like he was just so timid. He was having shots and it was just going wide by quite a margin. Now if he misses, it goes narrowly wide, so definitely like Brendan Johnson. If you're asking me out of the two though, Brendan Johnson or Kulu, I think it is a flip of a coin. I mean, you get two different type of players, but they both pick up some really good areas. Sure, Johnson gets more touches in the box, and he is a bit more expensive, but Kulu gives you something different in the creation, and I feel like that's really good for bonus as well. If you see a Kulu return, I think he's likely, unless he's fouled it a lot, to get 3 bonus. And by the way, if you're wondering about Sonny, I don't think he starts this weekend. Again, it's just an opinion though. Start Rodgers or Wood. So, a popular one this week will be Rodgers and Woods or Rodgers and DCL. I think you have to start Rodgers. Again, I do think United will be a bit more compact than we think, especially after conceding 3 goals midweek. I can imagine Ten Hag is going to play the players that he thinks are going to fight for him, and it's going to be a cagey game. I feel United are the team when they're always under pressure. They always seem to come up with something. Again, I've seen it too many times, and a lot of managers staying in the job for a bit longer, including Ten Hag, just because clutch moments, I suppose. Thoughts on Foden, says Jack Lee. I really like Foden, especially if we get a leak. I would love to bring him in on a wildcard if I was on it. So, he's my type of punt. For anyone, we had a big week last week, of course. I went to the United game, and we were also involved in FPL therapy. By the way, that was an amazing experience. Probably one of the highlights of doing FPL content, I suppose. Of course, Ross gave me the opportunity to go on his podcast, and I really, really enjoyed it. And it was so cool to be part of, like, something so professional. You know what I mean? I'm sitting here all the way in Southern Ireland and sitting behind a camera, but, you know, I got to travel all the way over to a studio in London, so it's a completely different experience, and I really, really enjoyed it. For anyone that hasn't watched it, I would recommend it. It's a good listen. And Ross, like I always say, he puts in a lot of effort. I can't believe, like, that man is almost robotic. So yeah, go show Ross some love. John Bolton in the chat, good morning. Gianni Ultra as usual. Harry Miller says, morning, Shoy. Smith Rowe to Kulu or Trent to Aitonori or Pedro to Solanke? Ooh. Let me read that again. Smith Rowe to Kulu or Trent to Aitonori or Pedro to Solanke? I would just do Pedro to Solanke if you can afford it. Again, I assume you mean do all of it. I don't know about Aitonori. I feel like he did score last week against Liverpool. And it's the same with Van de Ven. We hype up players after they come with a big haul, and, you know, I suppose the fixtures do turn for Wolves, but I am a bit sceptical. He comes in at a nice price, don't get me wrong, but getting rid of Trent, one of the best assets in my opinion. I don't know if it's worth it. Cole Ingram says, thoughts on double Man City defence, Guardiola plus Lewis? Yeah, Guardiola plus Lewis is probably better than Ederson and Lewis. You get a bit more attacking threat, but I'm happy with Ederson. When I compare him to the other keepers other than Raya, I really like him. Okay, so that's my team, alright? I'll bring it back up in a second as we continue to answer your questions. I wanted to bring up a graphic from Rob T, as usual. An absolute goat, by the way. Give him a follow. But Rob T, he comes up with these amazing graphs, and let's take a look at it. F. Morris says, best wildcard team. I would say go look at Ross's. He's currently live streaming. Check out his team. I spoke with Ross quite a bit on his wildcard, and I agreed with a lot of his points. There is a player or two. It's never going to be the exact same as what I wanted, but I would say it's fairly similar. Keith says United be lucky not to concede 3. Yeah, that's the general consensus now, but I don't know. Do you really think United will concede 4 or 5 this game? I would say it's very unlikely. I actually think they'll concede max 2. Like max. Tamer says, HI mate, no good bench, Smith Rowe not starting, João Pedro out for a hit, only 0.1 the bank, have Wood and Haaland. No, I would just start Smith Rowe. I wouldn't take the hit. Alright, let's take a look at this Rob T graphic. Of course, give him a follow. Haaland with 1.14 expected goals. Do you know how ridiculous that is against a team like Fulham? Now, I know we speak about it being a bit boring. But you don't really have much choice when you see a graphic like this, especially if you're the type like it's easy to go against them. Don't get me wrong, if you have no emotion. But if you play the game with any emotion and you're not a robot like Haaland, you're gonna see a stat like this and just be like, you can't not captain him almost. And it's a big reason why I think I kind of go towards putting the armband on him. By the way, if you could do me a favor, hit that like button, and it puts me out there. And I appreciate all of you for joining me on this Saturday morning. I love doing this, lads. So thank you for joining me. Zayt says, "Hi mate, is Diaz a risk?" I would say absolutely. I would give him a 65% chance of starting. Of course, another 70 minutes midweek. But then again, when I think about it, it's the last fixture before the international break. Of course, he goes off with Colombia, but you would be hopeful of another start, I would say, if I owned him. Again, this is coming from a Diaz non-owner, so maybe you should be even more hopeful. Can you do a wildcard draft for this week? Says LBJ. I could do, but like I wildcarded last week, it wouldn't be very dissimilar to what I have. Maybe you could include a Palmer, but other than that, not much I would change. I really like my team. As a replacement for 1 week punt, Gundogan or Brennan Johnson. As a 1 week punt, Gundogan, I would say. Brennan Johnson is really, really good, don't get me wrong. But again, what I would say about Brennan is, don't get too caught up on the hype. He's on really good form, and it's the type of player you want to be bringing in for that budget. But again, would I be surprised if he blanks versus Brighton? No. He's after scoring against Coventry and 2 Europa League games. So, just calm it down a small bit. And I'm a Spurs fan, so take it as you will. Eddie R says, "Morning. Talk me out of Solanke captain, please." Fucking hell. I have Haaland and Saka, so I should captain one of them. But at the Amex Sunday, come on you Spurs, the last game of the weekend, Brighton's high line, cheers. Eddie, I wonder how you see this game going. Personally, I can't see Herzl playing a really high line. Again, I spoke about it a small bit in one of my videos. Herzl got last week wrong, let's not get that mixed up. 4-2 against Chelsea and 4 goals in the first half. What I'll say about Herzl is he's a very young manager, he's going to make mistakes. And it's just a bit of inexperience for a 31-year-old manager, but that's going to happen. Brighton have had a really good start to the season. I think we need to not forget that. Brighton are quite a good team. They're missing Van Heck and they're missing João Pedro, which is massive for us. I don't think it's a bad captaincy option, especially if Son's going to be off penalties. And when I say Son being off penalties, I mean if Son is not going to play. I think I have my money on Son not playing, especially with the long season ahead. I don't see why we'd risk him unless he's 100%. So my opinion is I don't think Herzl will play a high line. He changed it against Chelsea and they didn't concede in that second half. So I would imagine they go with something a bit different. Now Spurs will put the pressure on Brighton, don't get me wrong. I just imagine they won't be playing as risky as usual. Van Heck is a large part of how they build up. Giving the ball to Kiriko Mitoma or Minta on the wing, or if it's going to be a Dingra, it's a long ball diagonally, and Van Heck is one of the best in the league at that, I would say. I've watched him for a few weeks now and he's so impressive. I've seen an analytic graph from DataMob. It basically projected the centre halves with the most interceptions and the most long balls or passes, forward passes. And the first 3 were, of course, Christian Romero, who, meaning that's what he does, Van Heck and Lewis Dunk. So it's just a large part of how they play. So I imagine they're going to have to switch things up. And if Veltman is playing at the back, centre half, they're going to be in a bit of trouble. But yeah, to answer your question, I think it's not a bad captaincy option, especially if we consider Solanke being on penalties if Son's out. Good morning, Anish. Good to see you. 2 seconds, lads. I'm going to blow my nose. Apologies. But yeah, I hope that answered your question. Haaland or Saka captain? It's another good discussion. So I look at this graph, right? I think Southampton will concede maybe 3 or 4 minimum. I think people are actually underrating this City fixture. Fulham have been quite good defensively, but City off the back of 2 draws in the league, it doesn't quite happen often. They're going to be little grumpy men, and I just feel like they're going to bang Fulham. Now again, easy for me to say when I'm the one putting my armband on Haaland, and maybe you might have a different perception of that. But again, it's a game of opinions, and I do feel like Haaland is probably the best option this week. Again, I have a small issue with the likes of Saka and Havertz. If you were to guarantee me Saka and Havertz getting 90 minutes, again, the general consensus is that it's fairly likely that they do. But in the back of my mind, I have it that they won't. Only because Southampton is probably the easiest fixture for them this season. So I wouldn't be surprised to see reduced minutes for both of them. George says, sorry if I'm a bit behind on the questions, by the way. I'll try to get back to as many as possible, so I'll have to skip over a few. Let me bring back up my team while I'm chatting. Sir Brian says, what are you looking out for this week? In what sense? So if I had a wildcard this week, I would be trying to hop on as many, not bandwagons, but players that you genuinely feel could do quite well over a fixture run. When I'm making a transfer, I'm the exact same. I'm not looking for just this week or the next week. It's generally for the following weeks. And you can see that by how I wildcarded last week. I've ended up with this team. Now, when you see this team, you could have said I wildcarded this week. It's that good. Again, not to toot my own horn, but you know, planning is so important in this game. And a lot of people look at the media of this week. Again, this team looks quite good next week as well, so that's what I look out for. Now, in terms of punts, I like to mix up with punts. If you look at my own team, what I would say is what's a bit different to your conventional is the double Arsenal attack. I don't think a lot of people have that. And also Saliba, of course. We got the double City defence in Ederson and Lewis. Lewis instead of Guardiola, which provides quite a high upside. Of course, we've gone with the Semenyo punt. And then the three premiums of Haaland, Solanke, Havertz. It is still quite a bit rare, so I would say go for a punt. Now, when we're looking at punts this week, who do I look at? Immediately, of course, Brennan Johnson and Kulusevski with the good form. Again, maybe that is a bit knee-jerky, but when I watch them play, I do think they're good options. And especially, we're starting to see a bit of consistency in those two boys. In terms of other punts, I really like a Foden if he starts. Again, will he continue to start? I suppose it's a question mark, but you'll have to make that decision yourself. Salah and DCL to Palmer and Solanke for a -4. It's so hard to get rid of Salah in a week like this for a -4, man. Generally, I would say yeah, but it is a bit knee-jerky. Because it sets you up better for the coming weeks. Yachty says, hello mate, rate my wildcard. I'm not going to say all the players because there's quite a few, but I'm just going to read through it real quick. It's actually quite similar to Ross's team. Except Gabriel and Lewis. Yeah, it's a very good team, man. I think we'll see a lot of good teams this week. It's a bit different to wildcard this week as well. So, again, my team does have 3 free transfers. So, I think that was the perk of maybe doing wildcard a 1 week earlier. I know I missed out on a few points with Salah captaincy, but I'm going to end up with 4 free transfers next week in the international break, which is always ideal. Are you considering bringing in Palmer, says Roger McSweeney? The answer is yes. How I get there, though, I'm unsure of. I can do Trent Alexander-Arnold down to a 4.5, I think, or 5.5, and do Brian and Mbeumo up to a Palmer. The only thing is Palmer's fixtures do get quite difficult. And I do like Mbeumo for the immediate and short term. He has some really good fixtures going forward. I don't know if it's worth getting rid of Mbeumo. No, I am a small bit skeptical, I want to say, on Mbeumo. In a sense where, I don't know if you listened to FPL Therapy that I was with Ross, but I was just saying that Wissa being out and them not having a proper striker other than Mbeumo, I don't know how much service Carvalho can provide. By the way, Carvalho at 4.8 I think could be a really, really good option on wildcard. Salah and Jota to Foden and Saka for free. Now that I really do like, Foden and Saka. You get 2 really good players for this immediate week. Again, you mightn't have Jota starting. And also Foden is a really good punt. So I think those are 2 good moves. But it is a small bit of risk getting rid of Liverpool boys before Crystal Palace. How insane is captain Havertz over Haaland and Saka as a differential? I would say it is a small bit insane if we go back to the graphic. You know, how much do you value the expected minutes here? I'm unsure. But if you think the minutes are high for Saka and Havertz, I don't think they can be bad options as well. I think it's quite interesting that Havertz is actually the same projected goals compared to Saka. Let me bring up the longer list that's here. Again, I'll try zoom in that for you guys so you can see it a bit better. Alright, I hope that's a bit better. For anyone that doesn't know, this is just the projected goals for nearly all the players that are popular. Interesting to see Big John Duran just behind Evan Nilsson this week. Johnny says Palmer, VDV in for Trent, Diaz out for free. Lads, there's so many questions here. I'm going to try skip down a small bit. Apologies. Be sure to put in your question again because I can't get through all of them. Appreciate you guys for putting in your questions. Where are we? Diaz expected to start. I don't know if I would expect Diaz to start. I would say I'll be about 65%. So maybe yeah. Palmer and Rodgers versus Foden and Kulu debate. I would say Palmer and Rodgers. You have probably one of the best premiums. You know, Palmer is a better asset than Foden. Rodgers versus Kulu. Rodgers for the value is much better. Kulu is still good, don't get me wrong. It's just for 5.2, Rodgers all day. Alright, let's do a captaincy debate, will we? Let's do Haaland, Arsenal attacker, or other. Where are we? XXX with a Havertz captain, pray for me. Thank you for the super chat, XXX. And Havertz captain. I wonder, are you an Arsenal fan? It's much easier to do if you're an Arsenal fan. But yeah, I do project Havertz to score. It will be, I think, his 8th home goal in a row, which would be absolutely insane. So let's see if he can do it. Do I captain Haaland or Salah or Saka? Again, wait, look at this graph. For me, that's why I just feel like it's so easy to put the armband on Haaland. And I feel like Haaland is so good for bonus points as well. Your thoughts on Diaz plus Wood into Kulu plus Solanke? I think they're definitely good moves. Brighton will be a very open game, I feel. There'll be goals in that game. I'd be very surprised to see anything other than 3 minimum goals. Salah and Eze to Palmer and Saka for a -4. Yes, is the answer, Stefan. If Diaz doesn't start, would you take a -4 for either Foden or Saka? For your information, I love Foden, by far my favourite player. Yeah, definitely one of my favourite players as well to watch in the league, as a neutral, I suppose. Would I take a -4 to get rid of Diaz to get Foden or Saka? Yes, if he doesn't start. Easily. Hi, my second wildcard draft. Very good, Mark. Again, you're going to have a benching decision to do, I would say, with Carvalho and DCL. But yeah, very solid team, Mark. Captain Trossard over Saka. See, that doesn't really make much logical sense, other than if you don't have Saka. I do like it as a punt, but look at Trossard on this league, on this list. He's quite low. Rodgers or McNeil says Fahad. I would say Rodgers. United at home after probably one of their biggest European victories in years. I do like the hype train on Villa. Chewy FPL, good to see you, man. How's it going, Choi? Loved your appearance in FPL therapy. Thought you conducted yourself quite well. Thank you, Chewy. I tried my best. I was actually quite nervous. You know, when you're in a room with like more than one person, usually there's no one in front of me other than you guys, which is the chat, of course. In this situation, I had Ross, I had a director, and it was a bit nervy, you know, you're speaking on the spot. Of course, you can edit something out, but, you know, you want it to be all in one take. So I really enjoyed it, though. Thank you, Chewy. Troy, who would you bench? Eze, Szoboszlai, Sojcek, or Wood? I'll be benching Wood versus Chelsea, man. If Crystal Palace are going to score versus Liverpool, it will be through Eze. I'm saying it now. And I won't be surprised to see Eze return. Liverpool have been class, don't get me wrong, but I need to see him being tested. And I feel like Crystal Palace have been poor, and if what's his name is in chat, he'll he'll talk me out of Eze, but I feel like they can score against Liverpool for sure. Rodgers or McNeil Rodgers? Should I get Saka and Solanke slash Jackson for Salah and João Pedro, or shall I wait a week? João Pedro is not fit. Oh, shall I get Saka and Solanke for Salah and João Pedro? Yeah, I would do that. I would get Saka and Solanke. If you get news that Rico Lewis doesn't start, would you play Oina versus Chelsea or Greaves versus West Ham? I think West Ham are going to score a few versus Ipswich, I'm not going to lie. So I'd be more inclined to play Oina versus Chelsea. That's not to say that Chelsea won't, but Forest are actually quite good defensively. James says, I'm locked in early because I've got work. So big up, Choi. Let's pray for a good week. Absolutely. Hopefully. I'm expecting a big green arrow before the international break. So pray for me before you go off to work. Light me a candle or something. Thoughts on Evan Nilsson? Yeah, again, I know I keep referring to this graph. He was projected to do quite well last week, and he scored. This week he's actually the same, so he's just behind Trossard and above Duran. So I actually quite like Evan Nilsson this week. Again, I've not seen him play with my own eyes too much, so I can't give you my grass pick thoughts, but from what I hear, he's actually quite decent, and he's starting to get the minutes we like. FPL Doctor says, morning shy. Bench and headache to start, Wood or Rodgers? Yeah, it is a tough one. Wood with the penalties, but a difficult fixture. Or Rodgers with a decent fixture. I feel like, lads, United at home is always going to be a tough fixture. Again, now I said that about Spurs last week, but you know, Spurs are playing some good football and are on decent form. Now I know Villa are as well, but it's always going to be a tough game when United's manager is under pressure. I'd still be inclined to start Rodgers, don't get me wrong, hoping that he doesn't get a benching or an early sub. I just wonder if he's going to be played out of position now with Rodgers potentially coming into the team. Ryan in chat as usual, he says, can you do the score predictions? Of course we can. Let's run through it. But first let me answer one more question. Let's answer Baby Verg. Dunk first goal is coming. Tottenham set piece defending is atrocious. I actually have quite a big opinion, and I would just say you're wrong. That's the easiest way to put it. But when we conceded against that Gabriel header, I think we saw the following week versus City that he scored a header again. And it was just bad timing for Spurs, and it's a lazy stigma in my opinion that we're bad at set pieces this season. It's the same way that we're bad at defending. I disagree. I think we've seen a step up since we've had the solid back four. By the way, one person that people are not talking about is Edogie. I don't know how fit he's going to be for this game, and that is a massive blow if he's not going to play. Before we get into some of the fixture projections, let me blow my nose. But let me look at this captaincy poll. It's interesting to see 30% are on an Arsenal attacker and 6% are on other. You guys have got some big balls. And this was me last season. I just don't feel like, for me, it's the week to do it. Again, if a lot of you don't own Haaland, it makes sense. Okay, let's do the fixture projections together. I want you to put in chat the score you think it's going to be in each of these games. Crystal Palace versus Liverpool at Sellers Park. I'm going to go with a bit of a surprise here. I'm going to go 1-0 Crystal Palace in the Liverpool game. Eze goal. And who do I feel like will score? I feel like it is going to be something jammy. Again, you're going to be surprised to hear that, but Crystal Palace not on great form. Sellers Park, pressure on. I can see a result here. Frank says 2-0 Liverpool. Actually, let me put it in chat while we're here. Just so I can back my mash. Chewy says 3-1 Liverpool. Kesem says 2-1 Crystal Palace. Interesting. Roger McSweeney 3-1 Liverpool. Yeah. I just have a feeling there's no logic to it. Again, I could be completely wrong. It could be 4-0 Liverpool by the form that they're on and the form Crystal Palace are on. Arsenal Southampton. I'm going to go with 6-1. Sounds crazy, but I really feel like Arsenal could do something mad in this game. 4-2 versus Leicester last week, but they should have scored way more. Koshik says, start Diaz or Mavididi. I would start Diaz. Again, wait for a team leak, which I'm sure we might get. Again, let's do a little scroll on Twitter before we continue with the fixtures. Yeah, this would be typical FPL for Eze to get a return this week, wouldn't it? Like, last week was a very generic, how do I say it? A very generic week in terms of all the things we probably didn't want, like Arsenal conceding, and of course, a lot of people taking out Eze and wildcarding, but just having a terrible week. So, Rodgers' goal as well, actually. Chewy FPL says apparently a Jota start. I don't know where you're seeing this, but let's do a little scroll. Yeah, so that's an interesting little thing from Anton. He says, Choi, we need to catch up. Let's captain someone a bit different like Saka. I don't know, man, because that's the same way you fall a bit behind. Omar says, hi from Egypt. On a wildcard, let me know what you think. Rhea Gabriel, Lewis Pinnock, Saka, Foden, Rodgers, Johnson, Mbeumo, Solanke, Haaland. Nori grieves the lap. No money for Palmer. I really like that team. A nice few spicy differentials in Johnson and Foden. And also Nori for the weeks to come. So, solid team. Start the lap or Mavididi? That is a tough one, and I actually can't even answer it because I am actually unsure, so I can't tell you who I do. I'm not going to give you an answer just for the sake of it. Rogers McSweeney says, what do you think Ten Hag will be? Do you think Ten Hag will be United manager after Christmas? No, I don't. I really don't. They should have sacked him after they won the cup. He would have been happy to leave at that point, and United would have been happy with a trophy. Chewy says he's retweeted the source. Alright. Plenty of time. And I want to see if... cheers, Chewy, for putting that in, but I want to see if we get a lot more of the big boys. I don't know what account has posted it. Jim Bob says, at what point would you consider benching Luis Diaz if he blanks or doesn't start this week? Yeah, I had a big decision to make last week on whether I wanted to go Luis Diaz or Kai Havertz, and thankfully I went Kai Havertz. Now, I could be wrong again this week. Luis Diaz could easily smash it at Sellers Park if he starts, but I'm happy with my decision to go with like a Southampton at home fixture with Kai Havertz, and he done quite well last week, clocking like a 2xG. At what point do you get fed up at Diaz? I would say after this fixture, the run starts to look a bit more difficult for Liverpool. But then again, you could still hold on to him. He could do quite well in the big games. But yeah, if he's eventually going to get a benching. So, Brentford versus Wolves. What are we saying, chat? I'm going to say 2-2. It'll be a tough game for Brentford. Wolves, we've not seen him have a decent fixture in the first 6 game weeks. I think this one... It's another tough game for Wolves, man. They're having a bad this season. Captaincy poll, 64% Haaland. Interesting. Way less than I thought it would be. By the way, for anyone that's just joining us, let me bring you back to my team. If I don't get a green arrow this week, lads, I don't know when I'm ever going to get a green arrow. Roger says 0-0. Nemanja 1-0. Mbeumo will score. Jonathan says 2-2. Goals are coming. 3-1 Brentford, says Eddie Casey. Let's see. Van de Ven or Leif Davis? For me, Leif Davis. I like Van de Ven though, don't get me wrong. D Jenkins says, hi Chai. Hello, good morning D Jenkins. Lamont says, do I sell Diogo Jota? I would say wait until we get a leak. They are the early kickoff, so we might get something. Also, be careful with any fake leaks. Let me just see what Chewy posted just because he's in here. Grizz Khan. I don't know who this source is. I've never seen him before. And he's quoting FPL and I hate that. Anyone that needs to say or let people know in the FPL community that someone is starting, I don't trust it, man. I don't trust it. I'm a bit skeptical. But cheers, Shui, again for letting us know. Let's see if we have a bit more of the big guys reposting that. Why is Diblin your first sub? Plays number 9. I'm always a big believer of starting the attacker, and Mikolenko is also not going to feature. Slanky or Madison? Slanky all day with him potentially being on penalties. D Jenkins says, you were great on FPL therapy this week. Hope you enjoyed recording it. Yeah, like I said, D Jenkins, it was a really, really fun experience. For anyone that knows the Sidemen, also I saw Bazinga, which was quite random. I didn't even recognise him, to be honest, until he got a bit closer. He looks a bit different in person. Is Eze a must sell or keep him for now and save the transfer? No, Eze is by no means a must sell. I would say save him, absolutely. Captain Salah, yeah, one that not a lot of people are talking about. I don't mind it. Again, Crystal Palace away though, it will be a bit tricky. And they struggled a small bit against Wolves. Salah looks way off the ball, by the way. It's insane, like, he always just comes up with something, even when he's not playing well. Hoicha, can you spin the wheel for Eze and Wood? Sure. Let's do it. Let's go. This is for... where did I see Bazinga? Me and Ross went for some food after the game, and he was just casually wandering about in the complex. This is for Franek. Best of luck, Franek. I knew Eze would be the man. Eze is the man. There you go. Would you start Wood or Smith Rowe this week? I would start Wood. Easier fixture. Ross is a good guy. Appreciate the way he discusses things. A bit less intense, was still taking it serious enough. Yeah, lads. Genuinely, I've met up with a large amount of content creators, and I feel like the community in terms of Twitter, they give content creators a really bad rep. Again, you can form your own opinions, fair enough, like, but from the group that I've met Ross, I've met Gianni, I've met Oscar, I've met Harry. Genuinely, some really, really, really sound people. And I would say in particular Ross. Like, Ross has a really, really good outlook. In terms of, he genuinely just wants to... He's a very jolly guy, and he wants to help as many people as possible. Of course, he comes from a teaching background, so that's why he displays so much valuable information in such a good manner. Like, I was looking at how he does the FPL therapy and some of his PowerPoints, and man, he puts me to absolute shame. Like, he has so much information just basically at sleight of hand, like just in front of him. I couldn't believe it. But also, you know, Harry, Oscar is such a lovely guy, man. And again, I'm not trying to rim him because I met him, but again, they get a bad rep, or not that they get a bad rep online, but there's so many haters. But like, I feel like if you met these guys in person, you'd have such a different outlook on maybe them or on content creators in general. Again, we all have our flaws. I'm not going to say we or they are perfect, but again, cut them a bit of slack. They put a lot of work into what they do, so I really value what they do, especially where I'm a bit of a smaller content creator, and you know, seeing those type of guys are absolutely smashing it on a weekly basis. They do put a lot of work in, so show them a bit of love. Jonathan Shirley says content creators are having a rough season. The prices and rules are changing things. Yeah, this is an interesting debate, and I actually spoke about it quite a bit. It's not just the content creators, lads. It's the content creators are the ones you see, and when you go on Twitter, you'll see less of the people who are doing poorly, i.e., the content creators. You will see their teams, and people will poke fun. But the teams that you will see are the people that are doing very, very well, and that's for a reason. We often try to support people that are doing well. I myself were one of them last season doing, ridiculous at the start of the season. And it picks up way more traction than teams that are doing poorly. So you're more likely and inclined in the Twitter algorithm to see teams that are doing better. And it puts, people that are in space and 3 million in the world like myself and the rest of the content creators to shame. But what you have to remember is, it's not just content creators who are doing poorly. Again, there are a lot of people in the actual community doing quite bad. But it's also a large amount in the analytic community who do well at this point. But also in the Elite 1000. The Elite 1000 don't necessarily solely base their game on analytics. And they are currently 3 millionth in the world also in Game Week 6. When I say they, so basically they take 1,000 of the best managers in the world. And they get their mean or their average rank. When you add all of them together and divide by 1,000 of them. And the average rank is 3 million. These are guys that finish in the top 50k consistently, season after season, with some of the best rank history that we've ever seen. So, again, I would just say it's not just content creators, it's everyone. So, let's see. I do think I'm not too worried. 3 million in the world, I know I can turn it around. It's just a matter of time. Right? By the way, any plans for this season? Or any plans for this week? I'm just gonna watch football, do a couple of assignments I have to do in university. Alright, let's get back to FPL before we continue about this deep debate about content creators. Kulu or Johnson? Again, that's a flip of a coin. Kulu's a bit cheaper. I think I would go Kulu, but again, you could go either. The reason I go Kulu, right, is Johnson is on amazing form, but I do think Kulu still has a lot to show in that central role, and he is playing number 10, so I would prefer my player to be in and around central areas compared to Johnson shooting across goal. Again, it is preference though. Choi, what do you think about Van den Berg minutes? I think they're quite good. I would have him in my wildcard personally. Hello Choi, says Jacques. How do I say that? Jacqueline. Help me out, please. Who would I transfer Savinho for? Options, please. I would say wait for any team news. I would say one of the Spurs assets if I was to get rid of him. Saka and Leif Davis or Trent and Madison? Saka and Leif Davis. Start Eze at MGW. Eze. Robert Zaharias, a person that we've seen in here quite frequently. Welcome back to the stream. Worst start of the season ever. So we can only go from here, right? So, yeah, no, it is a tough start to the season. Again, it's not just us. I'm not too worried. But yeah, it's only onwards and upwards. Vardy or Saliba, says John. Saliba. 100% Saliba. Rank 1 in the world, triple captain Rodgers in game week 3 and only owned Haaland in game week 2 on a free hit. Something ain't right. Yeah, you also have to consider the amount of chips being played. I haven't used my triple captain. I've used my wildcard, but triple captain alone is a difference of 17 points. Okay, let's just assume that my triple captain will get somewhere in around 10 points. So that is probably a rank difference of me being in 3 million to 2 million. Jaron Lee says, what are you studying? I'm studying computer science and I'm in my 4th year. I'm actually doing my final year project, or thesis as people call it, on FPL. It's going to be an AI model, and I'm going to read in and try and prove some sort of tool in the community, and maybe make some users experience a bit better. It's funny because I'm a Grass FC manager, but yeah, I'm doing a project on maybe analytics and models, so it will add another area to my game. Again, I don't choose to pick Grass because I think it's better. I just enjoy watching games and making my picks more so based on that. Only because it's more fun. And for me, FPL is a hobby. Again, I would prefer to have a better rank on my own accord rather than what data is saying. Again, people play whatever way they want, and I've nothing against how they do it. Rogers Semenyo or DCL to bench, please respond, Shy. I got you, Nadal. I would be benching DCL. Newcastle at home, tricky fixture. Again, I could be completely wrong, but I feel like Rogers, when Villa are off the cuff of a really big win in Europe. I really like it. Choi, please check Liverpool leaks. Okay, let's do it. You asked nicely. Do you still enjoy computer science after studying it? I started with it but didn't enjoy it. It's really hard to enjoy computer science. The reason being, it's very abstract. When I say abstract, there's a lot of concepts that are not really relatable in actual human world. Again, everything is kind of theoretical. In a sense where, like, for example, cloud computing, you know, you can't really see that. And it's a lot of virtualization, which again, a lot of things that don't necessarily exist to the naked eye. So it is difficult to study, but again, it's for a reason. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it, and you know, it's tough for a reason, I would say. But yeah, I'm looking forward to be finishing. Let's put it that way. Morning Choice says, Dominic, what would you choose? Foden or Havertz plus or Palmer and Calvert-Lewin? Foden and Havertz for me. Again, only providing Foden starts. Start Anthony Robinson or Dibbling? Oh, that's a tough one. I would start Dibbling. And just pray. Dibbling and pray. Choice start one of DCL or Sade? DCL. By the way, lads, I'm looking for leaks. We've not got anything yet. If you see anything on Twitter, be sure to at me and let me know in chat. Best João Pedro replacement, 6.3 million. 6.3 million. It's tough. Oh. I mean, it has to be DCL, I would say. Really good fixtures coming up. If Lewis doesn't start, what's the plan? Start him anyway. I think I'm leaning towards starting him anyway and getting Diblin off the bench if he doesn't play. That's a good point, though. I don't think it's worth a transfer. Praffle says, "Hey, Young Min Son or Young Min Choi." Welcome to the chat, Praffle. Hope there is no malicious intent in that. Jota or Brendan Johnson? Jota, if we get some team news, he starts. But Brendan Johnson is not a bad option at all. If it's on wildcard, Brendan Johnson. John Hayes says, morning, Choi. Good morning, John. Owen says, I knew I should have got Palmer last week. Yeah, hindsight's a beautiful thing, though. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Shit like that happens on a weekly basis, to be honest. And it is what it is. Sushant says, "Hey Chai, would you do Trent Diaz to Porro Foden captain?" I really love that. Again though, I don't know if getting rid of Trent is worth it this week, especially Liverpool assets. Crystal Palace are still... Liverpool are top of the league, lads. I think we're kind of... I don't know why we're kind of getting rid of all the Liverpool assets. Again, don't get me wrong. Foden versus Fulham could do very, very well. I just mean, like, you know... Imagine it was City top league and we were moving them on to get Liverpool assets. I don't know, it's still a bit unusual. But yeah, not bad moves at all. And especially if we get a league that Foden starts and Diaz is benched, it makes way more sense. Matt LFC says, I don't get the love for DCL. I feel like Wood is just as good and Forest seem much more put together team right now. I would say you're right in the way that Forest do look a bit put together. But we've seen time and time again with Sean Dyche's team, you know, he always does enough to get him going, I would say. DCL is finally fit, and he's not one that we've seen fit for a while. Comes in at a really good price, really good fixtures, and is on penalties. So I can understand the incentive for Calvert-Lewin. But yeah, Chris Wood is probably just as good. Isn't Ketty a good João Pedro replacement? In terms of good, I'm unsure, but not a bad one. I wouldn't love it personally. By the way, if you can hit that like button for me, much appreciated, lads. Thank you so much. Lemon says, should I start Gordon for Johnson or roll the transfer? Or should I transfer out Gordon for Johnson? No, you shouldn't. What do you think about Konate? He's actually one that I spoke about quite a bit 3 weeks ago. He's good, but you probably missed the boat. HI views on captaining Havertz. I mean, I don't mind it. Again, I just feel like Haaland is the better choice this week. Is Diblin nailed? Nailed, I would say so. He started number 9. Okay, nailed is a bit too far. Do I think his minutes look good? Yes. Rolling says no appears. Yes. 4 free transfers going into the international break. McNeil may have to defend more with all the potential injuries. That's a good point. Tosun Shade, not bad. Not bad at all. Clive says, please, I love that name by the way, Clive. Please help me understand Dibbling is a midfielder and your first sub. You said you play him in your team if Lewis doesn't start. Yeah, actually I got that wrong, sorry. Yeah, I would just play Lewis. I don't know why I said get Dibbling off the bench. I meant get Greaves off the bench. I apologise for that. Mikalenko is probably not going to play, so it will be Greaves. Jota starting. Gravenberch 2 says Stephen. Alright, let's take a look. So, if you had Eze, would you hold on to him or sell him for Trossard? Don't get me wrong, Trossard is better this week, but I'll be holding on to Eze all day. For sure. By the way, Luka Vuskovic. War a player. One coming up for Spurs. He's currently playing in Poland. 2 goals last night. He's a centre half, a brolic centre half, and he's only like 17. He's a machine, and he's coming to Spurs next season. Ange actually speaks quite highly of him as well, so you've heard it here. Keep an eye out. Luka Vuskovic. If Rico was benched, who should I start? Oina or Greaves? I would start Oina. What do you think of Doku to McNeil? Doku to McNeil, I don't love it. Especially if Doku starts, I'd just be holding on to Doku. Yeah, I suppose if you get a leak that Doku doesn't start though, yeah, McNeil, why not? Don't love it though. Who's starting for Arsenal at left back? I want to say it's Calafiori, unless the knock is true. By the way, if you have any news, be sure to at me. Makes it much easier on stream rather than me just scrolling. Again, it doesn't look like we've got that in concrete though. A lot of the big boys often retweet. Let's refresh this. Who to start? O'Colly or Oina? Oina. Yeah, it doesn't look like we've got Anne. Is a no bench approach worth it if you have Palmer, Saka, Haaland on wildcard? Bench wouldn't be that bad, but not optional. Dibbling, Colwell, Stewart. I don't mind that, to be honest. Again, if you look at my own team, I've got Dibbling, Mikalenko and Greaves. 4 million and 4.3 million options. Not ideal, but if you get a solid team, I do like it. -4, Smith Rowe from Avadidi. No, I don't think so. DCL and Diaz for Solanke and Johnson for a -4. DCL and Diaz for Solanke and Johnson. I don't know about doubling up on the Spurs. Again, it could work out, but getting rid of DCL. Look, I would say Solanke is that guy. Everyone wants him now. I would probably try get Solanke. Whether or not you bring in Johnson also for a -4, don't love, but again, I don't mind it at the same time. When do you think is the next best wildcard week? I would say between 9 maybe and 12. Again, the general consensus is to leave it as late as possible. 17 and 18 is ideal world, because then you can wildcard later with the second one. But in terms of windows, probably 9 or 12, only because City have Southampton at home, which if you can get the likes of a Foden, a Haaland, assuming you don't already have him, but I think it looks great. Who to start? Eze or Rogers? Eze. Eze for me, lads. Again, only because it will be a bit more of a punt. And I can see Crystal Palace scoring. Why not go for Saka captaincy? If not now, then when? I think we're underestimating how good this fixture is for Haaland at home to Fulham. You're right though. If not now, when? That Saka fixture doesn't get better. Arsenal won't have a better fixture all season. My only issue with that is that it's Arsenal's best fixture this season, and the odd chance that Saka does get a bit more rest towards the end of the game, maybe an early sub. Choi, big hole for Kulu this week. Unsure. I want to say Solanke will hold this week though. Triple captain Palmer this week? Nah, I don't love it. Johnson or Rogers? For this week, Johnson all day. This guy's pulling my leg. There's no way this is real. Can you imagine the chaos? By the way, sorry if you can't see that. My bad. I didn't realize I wasn't zoomed in. So sorry. Again, take this with a fucking grain of salt. I'm gonna assume it's fake. Again, we will find out because it'll be chaos on Twitter. But imagine Salah wasn't playing. That'd be crazy. Any leaks yet? Says no Peters. No, not solid yet, man. Again, we will keep you posted. Absolutely. Start Lewis, Allen, or Greaves. Who is Allen? Allen. But no, I would be starting Lewis all day. Double Spurs for me this week. Speaking of double Spurs. Big Dom and Kulu, Arsenal fan against his beliefs. So smack, don't worry, I'm on the same boat as you. I've got triple Arsenal. I don't know how I've done it though. Did I say that? Oh, I swear to God that I said Liverpool are playing at Sellers Park. I'm fairly sure. Oh, he's pulling my leg. I understand. I see. He said not playing at Anfield. I get you now. Apologies, chat. Apologies. Me when I spread false propaganda. Still, that's good. Start Smith Rowe or Harry Winks. Fucking hell, we're getting down bad if we're starting Harry Winks. Has to be Smith Rowe. Watch your YouTube video, but why not captain Saka? I just feel like Haaland is the man this week. It doesn't put me off that he blanked last week. Logan says the leak said Haaland that Salah has not arrived at Anfield. Would hope that he's not if he's playing away. Yeah. You got me, lads. You got me. Apologies. I just didn't read it properly. You took the bait. Yeah, absolutely. I should have known when I seen FPL fella. Mo Salah. Smith Rowe to McNeil. Yes, if you've nothing else to do, I suppose. I'm going to translate this tweet. I don't know what it says. Okay. It says it's not from a reliable source. Sweet. Smith Rowe to McNeil. Yes. Again. Evan Nilsson. I don't mind him. I've Salah captain. I've been thinking of going Havertz. What do you think? I'm ranked 18k. 18k is ridiculous, man. Ridiculous. You can't get rid of Saka before Southampton at home. F. Morris. I'm really concerned about content creators are going to look miserable again over the international break if they bench Rodgers double-digit return. Gotta love Andy Martin, man. What a man. What a man. Choi, have you been mewing lately? Says MJ. This is actually quite funny. I've not been mewing. You know what it is? My skin has cleared up. For anyone that doesn't know or hasn't seen my streams before, my acne got really bad like 6 months ago, and I actually look like a meatball. Now my skin is all cleared up and we look well again. It is it's great though. I don't know if you've ever had acne or you know anyone that has, but man, it fucks you up. It really does. Like, it really knocks your confidence. And again, it's the little things like people saying, they notice that your skin is either bad or good. Especially when you're doing something where you're sitting here talking to people, like 200 people in here. Again, thank you so much for joining me. But there was a point in time where I was doing really well in FPL, and we had like 500 people in here, but my face was absolutely fucked. Again, what I would say for anyone that that has acne is go to a dermatologist. That's what I done, and you clear up. It takes time. Like, only now I still have like scars and shit. Again, I'm not mogging on stream, but my face is still fairly scarred, and shit takes time, man, and you'll eventually heal. But that goes for generally a lot of things in life, even when you lose a significant other, it's not going to be in a week that you're going to be healed. Things take time. Everything in life takes time, including my FPL rank. So if you're 6 million in the world, if that speech doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will. Yo Chai says, Nick Zero, welcome to the stream, Nick. Good to see you, of course, our channel member. Aussie says, you're mogging me. For fuck's sake. Chai, show your team, please. No problem. Start NDA, Rogers or Diaz. Diaz, if we get a leak, he starts. Chai, should I start Lewis or Porro, or should I start or bench Rogers? Start Lewis. Again, I would say it's likely we get a leak. We have half an hour to the deadline. Wait for leaks. If we get a leak, of course, Lewis is not playing. I would just play Porro. Jonathan Shirley says, all that stress being number one. No one wants that stress. Yeah, lads, it's actually quite mad. Like, when you're that high in the world, there is a lot of pressure, especially when your draw for FPL content is like your rank. I understand that I don't give maybe the best advice backed by numbers. It's more so eye test and my own formulated opinions. I know a lot of people also value that, but for example, we'll take Ross. He gives you reasons why you might go with a player. Underlying data, form, whatever it is. Whereas me, I'm just kind of splurting what I think. And again, it was easy for me because that really got the ball rolling for me that I had a high rank. And again, I'm very fortunate. I was very, very lucky. And it's after giving me a platform where I can sit here, speak to people in front of a camera, and people enjoy tuning into streams like this. But yeah, it is tough. I don't think we speak about it. It is a privilege to be near the top of the world for 30 game weeks last season. And especially to do it with no Haaland, it's great. But on a week basis, it kind of makes you fall out of love with the game. Right now, I'm back to reality at a 3 million rank. At this time last season, I was number 10 in the world, so it is a bit mad. The X vibe metric. Where are we? I'd rather be number 1 in the world than 6 million where I am right now. Yeah, that's true, Franek. But when you're looking at your team on a week-to-week basis, pulling your hair out on what to do, it gets tough. X vibes over any other metric, absolutely. Great stuff on the FPL Therapy podcast. Thank you. I need leaks, says Adam. Yeah, I'm sure we'll get something, lads. Again, patience. Like I said, patience is a virtue. Emile Smith-Rowe to Brennan Johnson, or roll and do Semenyo and Emile Smith-Rowe to Foden and Dibbling next week. Hold, Emile Smith-Rowe to Brennan Johnson is probably a good move. I like that move. I need advice for my third defender. Should I start Greaves, Keane, or Aina? For me, it's Aina. Aina all day. Looking fresh, brother. Why is everyone saying this? I get a haircut, my skin cleans, or my skin clear. Why can't I speak? My skin clears up, and now people are telling me I look great. Appreciate it, gang. Appreciate it. Yeah, I know it's true, and fellas are telling me it's true. Oh man. Troy, who's your favourite club after Spurs in the English Premier League? You know what? I actually thought about this quite a bit. Alright, let me give you my origin or how I became a Spurs fan. Basically, my granddad, his father was in the army. I don't know at what point, but it was for World War II. And he was doing training in London. His brother, my granddad's brother, ended up being an Arsenal fan. So my granddad ended up being a Spurs fan, you know, as brothers do, have that little debate. So that's why we're Spurs fans. Of course, he passed that down to my brother. My brother ended up making a Twitter account maybe 8 years ago, and he ended up being one of the most followed accounts in Ireland as a fan account for Spurs. So yeah, that is where my Spurs origins come from. Who is my favourite team outside of Spurs? I would say Crystal Palace, only because I love Roy Hodgson. Again, it's a really weird one, but I really like Roy Hodgson. I don't know why. I felt bad when he got sacked. Again, he's old. But to come back in and to save Crystal Palace from relegation or when they're down bad, I really liked them. And again, I love the likes of Yannick Bolasie, Olise, Eze. These are all players with a load of vibes. And I like what they're trying to do, basically. Chewy FPL says, actually before we get onto that, MJ says, you always look great, mate, now oiled up. And Chess Quickie says, you look sharp with the fade. Cheers, lads. Getting my confidence back and running. Chewy FPL says, what I've found is that when you're doing badly, just revert to the vibes. Had a disastrous season last year. Yeah, it was one of the most fun I've had and taken lots of risks and punts. Yeah, there's two sides of the coin. Like, I was taking lots of risks and punts because it's like how I like to play the game. And no matter what rank I am at, I will continue to do it. Nick says, best of luck this week. And that goes to absolutely everyone in chat. Yeah, we have 25 minutes till the deadline. Not yet got a leak. I will keep you informed though. Kubo says, sorry for the acne. We're cleared up now, mate. Don't worry. By the way, nearly 200 people in here. Do me a favour, hit that like button. It really does get us out there. No team news yet. And Big John Philippe Mateta. Yeah, what a player. As an English Liverpool fan, I do not love Hodgson. Yeah, of course. Again, I'm an Irish Spurs fan, so that's why it's easy for me to say the likes of a Hodgson. Sorry. Bolasie played for my team Plymouth. Nice one. Let's bring up this tweet real quick. Martinelli or Maddison? Which one to buy? As a 1 week punt, Martinelli. Long term, Maddison. Don't love either of them. I would just go to a Kulu or a Johnson at that point. Interesting. For anyone that doesn't know, FPL Villain, one of the best sources of, I would say, Villa news that we have on Twitter in terms of the FPL community. Definitely one to follow. Should I start Wood or Rodgers? Rodgers for me, man. Rodgers for me all day. Saka or Haaland captain? Haaland easily. I'm not even going to give it too much thought. I knee-jerked this week and got McNeil plus Solanke for DCL plus Eze. God save me this week. Yeah, let's see. I am an Eze believer. I think I'll bring him in next week, to be honest. Alright, real quick. Let's do a little spy on FPL Raptor. I want to see how his what's it called, is looking. His wildcard is looking. So he has got Rhea, Lewis, Gabriel, Davis, Rogers, Saka, Palmer, Mbuemo, Kuna, Solanke, and Haaland. I wonder if he gets a leak, will he be inclined to bring in the likes of a Foden, perhaps? I really like the idea of a Foden. Solid team though by Ross. Is that Rogers or Jackson? Jackson, I think it has to be Jackson. What is your real name, bro? Where did Choi come from? My real name is not Choi. It's funny, when I went over to London with Ross, he genuinely thought my real name was Choi, which I thought was quite funny. Like, I'm Irish, so I've got a conventional Irish name. Well, maybe it's not an Irish name, but a popular name in Ireland, which is Dylan. D-Y-L-A-N, by the way, not D-I-L-L-O-N. And it's my second name, Choi. By the way, I'm going to show you this. Again, I want you to take it with a grain of salt. I don't know how reliable this account is, but I think it's important to show it anyway. What that means, who's out of the lineup? Does that mean a Diaz? Or maybe a midfielder? So, again, take it with a grain of salt, lads. I'll always try display it, though. Best City defender. Rico Lewis if he starts. Otherwise, it's Guardiola. Are you making any changes today? No. No changes for me. 4 free transfers going into next game week. Let me actually go onto the transfers page just so you can see. Here's how we're looking, lads. Boys and girls. I love it, lads. I really, really do like it. 19 minutes until the deadline. We've not yet got a leak. Let me change that timer real quick. It's a tiny bit off. There you go. And let me open up chat again. Said Lewis twice, meant Van de Ven. Haaland or Palmer captain. I think it's Captain Palmer this week is a bit of a knee jerk, but he's definitely still good. Haaland, it has to be though. I think we're being put off by his blank last week. Thoughts on Sydney Sweeney's formation? Oh, yeah, the two in front are great. What? As a Liverpool fan, if Curtis Jones starts, Szoboszlai would be benched. Yeah, you're right. Good point, Liam. Apologies. Szoboszlai has been quite poor, in my opinion, this season. Should I get Foden, Shy? If you get a leak that he starts, for sure. If Jones starts, Szoboszlai would be benched. Cheers, Nathan. Would it be time to start selling Liverpool assets next week? I just want to say why. Diaz and Jota, sure, there's a bit more rotation with the midweek fixtures. They've got a fixture versus Chelsea. I don't think Chelsea are still defensively the greatest. Next week they've got Arsenal, which is a tough fixture. So I think after the Chelsea game, probably. Nothing wrong with holding them for the Chelsea game though. Ian says Focal has got a reliable leak. Alright, let's take a look. Focal always retweets, so let's see if it comes up on the timeline. Would you have Palmer on wildcard? Absolutely. Sweeney got insane assets. Brilliant. Let's see. This account has leaked this team. Again, please take it with a grain of salt. I don't know how reliable it is. Alisson, Trent, Konate, Virgil, Robertson, Gravenberch, McAllister, Jones, Salah, Gakpo, Jota. What I would say, it does fit the idea of no why can't I speak? So yeah, no Diaz. Okay, no Diaz. We've got it from all the big boys. That's how we like to do it. I don't like to be the first to say it, only reason being because there's so many fake leakers out there. I prefer to wait for the likes of a mate and a Focal to retweet. Focal, by the way, I feel like he's probably the most reliable in the community. That guy who doesn't get anything wrong. He's like a journalist. He tries to back it up with more than one source. But yeah, cheers for everyone that's let us know in chat that he's not playing. I think it's quite interesting that he's benched. Again, it was a matter of time that he was going to be benched. What I would say on it though is anyone that is looking to move on for a Diaz, you've 8 million. For 8 million, who would I be looking at? Without trying to put too much of my bias, I really do like one of the Spurs assets. Other than that, who else do I like? Would you be inclined to take a 1 week punt on the likes of a Trossard? Maybe. Start Minter or Konsa. Always start the attacker. Spurs, from what I've seen with Spurs the last few weeks, how we're being caught out is the likes of a winger beating our fullback and leaving it to Van de Ven or Romero to sweep up. And I feel like Minta, if he is gonna be on that wing, starting instead of a Dingra, he can catch us out for sure. And I'm always a believer of playing the attacker instead. Which choice? So is Sabo not playing then? Should I bench him now? Let me just bring up the focal tweet so everyone has up-to-date news. So no Diaz. Jota is starting. Considering he's going off this tweet, there is no Szoboszlai. So yeah, you should bench him. Where are we? Ho Zong Zeng says, are you planning on making any transfer? No. Thoughts on Salah to Saka today? I don't mind it. I don't love it. This is a good fixture for Salah, but yeah, if... You know what? I don't think that's worth a transfer. You already missed the fixture last week. I would actually just hold on to Salah. DCL or Emile Smith-Rowe? DCL. Start Davis, Greaves, or Van der Ven? Vandenberg or Van der Ven? Or Van de Ven? Leaf Davis. Damn it, I was looking forward to Szoboszlai. At least you got the team news though. Romero or Van de Ven? You know what? I'm going to say it now. I fancy a Romero goal versus Brighton. Two things, random things that I fancy this week. By the way, let me fix that overlay. Why am I not over the actual streaming chat? 1 second. Oh, it's because I've cut off the box. Hold on. Much better. There you go. Now you can see my arm. Okay, what was I saying? You can't pronounce Zong. Well, yeah, I look Asian. I can't speak any Chinese or anything, so you're probably right. I can't pronounce Zong. Chewy FPL says, sold Sabo for Mbuemo myself. Absolute failure of a punt. Missed an open goal last game week. He missed the open goal, and then he took the piss. I think it was versus Chelsea. No, it was versus United, sorry. Where you just fake shot it in front of the keeper for the laugh. Madison or Kulu? Kulu. Kulu is playing in a more advanced position in comparison to Madison. Like I said on FPL Therapy, like, Madison is playing at 8 or a 6. Kulu is playing in that 10 position. That's exactly what you want. The only way I can get Foden is to sell Trent Alexander-Arnold. If it's on wildcard, yes. Andy says, can I see your team? Welcome to the stream, Andy, if you're just joining us. Here is the team. I absolutely love it for this week. 233 people in here. Welcome to the stream. Start McNeil or Rodgers? Ooh. I would say McNeil is a tough one though. Pick two of Rodgers, McNeil, Wood. Rodgers and McNeil. Semenyo and Trent, Tenori and Foden. If we get a leak Foden starting, absolutely. Kulu or Johnson? Again, I really feel like this is subjective. I'm going to make a comparison, alright? Would you prefer... There's not many great comparisons. Fuck. Hold on, let me drink some water so I can think about it. Yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm not even going to try to bullshit some shit. I prefer Kulusevski. Johnson will be subbed 75 to 80 minutes. Kulu is a machine. He'll play 90 minutes. Kulu is picking up more central positions. Don't get me wrong. Brennan Johnson is getting into some key areas. But I just feel like if Werner, if he starts, and Johnson can get that cutback right to the midfielder, who's a Madison or a Kulusevski in that position, you'll start seeing way more goals and assists from Kulusevski. I've been inactive for a while, Choi, says out of the trenches. Can you help with my team? You know what? Only because he said you're inactive. Team name 162-126-2374. We don't often do this, but just because you're a channel member, why not? 5 free transfers. You didn't lie when you said you were inactive. What I would say is easily play Gordon. Gordon is my probably pick of the week. This team actually isn't that bad. But man, have you got some issues. What would I do here? I would just do Kai Havertz in. And just go against the robot for another week. Do a little something like that. And I would just leave it. And go inactive again. Kulu or BJ? Yeah, like I said, Kulu for me. Apologies, I need to sneeze. Oh, so sorry. I should have muted my mic for that. Apologies, chat. My eyes are water and everything. 10 minutes until the deadline. Again, we will be staying for team news, so be sure to join us. Again, not for the team news, but just I like to stay until we get the lineups. Would you do Eze and Trent to Palmer and Van de Ven? This week, no. Maybe next week. Hi brother, says Dematrio. Would you do Foden and Saka or Salah and Diaz? Foden and Saka for Salah and Diaz. Yes, I would. 100%. Hi Shai. Would you do Foden and Saka for Salah and Diaz? Yes. Sorry, I've answered that question twice now. If Diaz is benched, Sharif. Let me go back to the tweet. Diaz is benched. Would you play Wood or sell him to BJ? I would start... I think I would just play Wood, man. That's a tough one, though. Again, let's do some of our own little surfing on the internet and see if we can find any more leaks. Konate or Van de Ven for this week? Probably Konate. Speaking of Konate FPL. Hutcho, would you do Delap or would you do Delap to DCL? No, I don't think it's worth transfer. Troy, why do you think Eze will be good versus Liverpool? It's not necessarily versus Liverpool. I do think he could potentially return versus Liverpool. I just think the following fixtures, I can't see Crystal Palace keeping up this form. I do think eventually, we've seen like last season what they can do. So I do think there's a good chance that they pick up a victory and they're going to carry on some decent form. And again, Eze is the focal point of that team. Thanks for helping, bro, Sharif. No problem at all, man. Would you play Wood or Luis Diaz? Wood. Luis Diaz is bench, lads. I keep saying it, sorry. Start Rodgers or DCL? I want to start Rodgers, man. If I'm in that position. We beat Chelsea away last season. We're better now. Suppose they are slightly. Yeah. Porro and Foden in for Trent and Diaz. I actually really like that, man. I really, really like that. Doesn't look like we're going to get anything for City, I don't think. Troy, would you transfer out Diaz for a -4? Yes, I think I would. But again, it really depends who. 8 million is a lot to be sitting on the bench. Chewy FPL says he is a Ndia believer. Diaz to Foden. If you can stretch it, absolutely. Gakpo punt, not for me, man. Not for me. You have to look long term, even though he's not bad. Sell Diaz to buy Foden, yes. Greaves or Mazraoui? Mazraoui. What you have to remember is if United somehow keep a clean sheet, the United fans are going to be on for 3 bonus. Again, maybe not the best way to look at it, but that's how I see it in my mind. Compared to Greaves, where I expect him to concede. Bro, stop showing me this bullshit, man. Show me, like, what is all this crap? Give me a bit of something, something. Start Eze against Liverpool or Rodgers against United. Again, if I had Eze, lads, I'd be playing Eze. Again, it's just personal preference, though. Abdul Rahman, let's have a look at his team. Very, very nice team. Similar to mine. By the way, I appreciate every single one of you that put in the in-bracket home beside the player and the team that they're playing against. Only because it's such an easier read. Because we get so many questions, it can be hard to like keep up with the fixtures in your head. So it makes it much easier for the reader. Best defender under 5.9, Rico Lewis and Pedro Porro. Is Saka the best captaincy option if I don't own Haaland? Yes. Any City team news? No, unfortunately not. I think I'll just be rolling the dice on Rico Lewis. Diaz to Palmer and Trent to Pedro Porro. Yes, I would do that. Eze versus Rodgers to start. Again, I would be starting Eze. Foden or Saka? As a punt or as this week? This week it has to be Saka, man. Man, I'm tempted to do Diaz and Trent to Foden and Porro for a -8. -8, man. That's hench though. I don't know if I'd be doing that myself. Toss on wildcard 9 with no Arsenal and 3 times City. Sure. But that's I hope that... Look, the thing with that is, right, Arsenal get some really good fixtures after game week 9, 10, I want to say. 2 minutes to still the deadline. Cheers for the warning. By the way, please make sure you click your save team. And by the way, just in case, the odd chance, I would say make sure you set your vice captain. I wonder if Solanke a captaincy option this week. With him, with the prospect of being on penalties, I really like it. We haven't seen a penalty for Spurs yet. Diaz benched. Yes, he is. Alright, let's see if we can get one last little scroll in. 2 minutes until the deadline. FPL Fran has done a -4 for Palmer and Davis. What? That is insane. Stay in school, don't do drugs. Love that. Yes, play Rodgers. Diaz is indeed benched. Saka captain punt. Don't love it, lads. I don't love it, but it's not bad. Alright, it doesn't look like we're going to get anything on the City lineup quite disappointing, but to be honest, I prefer it this way. I'd rather take the punt on just playing him rather than worrying about playing Greaves, to be honest. I'd rather just get my 1-pointer or my 7-pointer when he inevitably gets his goal off the bench. When is the deadline going to end? In about 50 seconds. We're going to stay until we get some team news. Let me just take a screenshot of my own team and post it on Twitter. Be sure to leave your team underneath this. I'll scroll through a few of your teams to see what you're saying. Choi, bro, do I captain Palmer and Buemo, Salah, Semenyo, Watkins or Havertz? I would say you've left it a bit late, but I would captain Palmer. I mean, why not? Send Mikalenko or play Robinson, or Boy Lewis. Play Robinson, unfortunately. Good luck, everyone. Deadline's gone. There you go, lads. Cheers for joining me. It's been another amazing stream. Again, we have an international break coming now, so I won't see you for until after the week, or after next game week. Why do I keep saying game week? After next real life week. Now everything is about FPL, Chai. But yeah, no, I always enjoy these streams. If you're gonna leave, be sure to hit that like button before you go. For anyone that's staying, be sure to stick with us. We'll do a little scroll on Twitter, have a little bit of a general discussion on everything in life or FPL matters. But we'll also wait until the team lineups are officially out. I'm just gonna quickly post my own team. 3 million in the world. I didn't mean to click media. Fuck. Havertz cap, let's go. Yeah, who did you captain? I know a lot of people are actually going against the Haaland captaincy. Let me know who you've gone with. I'm intrigued. Who have I gone? Man, Captain Haaland is so boring. But if you can't beat him, you have to join him, unfortunately. Captain Trossard, Palmer. I really wanted to do Paro and Diaz to Foden. Decided to leave it until the end and start in NDA instead of Diaz. Foden hat-trick incoming. So, I chose 3 players on FPL Therapy to return this week. For anyone that doesn't know, Ross does this section where whoever can get the most points, and the score for me to beat this week is 21 points. The points I chose were Foden, Trossard, and who was the other one? Foden, Trossard, and does anyone remember who else I chose? How don't I remember? Lads, I done that podcast and I can't remember who I said. Foden, Trossard. It'll come to me, don't worry. Anyway, let me get back to my tweet. Apologies. What was I saying? Surely agreeing before the international break. Best of luck. How are we fixed? Let's do a arrow emoji as usual. Yeah, did anyone bring in Kulisexy or Brendan Johnson? I would love to know. Let's do a little sparkle. Alright. You picked Bowen. Cheers, Roger. I knew I had an FPL Choi Ultra that was watching out. How did I forget that? It was very abstract, to be fair. That's why I didn't clock it. Rate the Spurs shirt on FPL Therapy. What's your favourite Spurs of all time? Good question, Jack Chandler. So obviously I'm a bit younger, so I've missed the likes of your Paul Gascoigne. I've seen the end, if even, of Ledley King. But Spurs all time for me has to be Hugo Lloris. I think there was a point in time where he was very good. Kyle Walker easily. I think it does disrespect to. Don't get me wrong, I love Romero and I think he is amazing. But I have to say Toby Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen. For me, the consistency, and there was a point in time where we had our stadium as a fortress. It was a difficult place to come. I think that's what Spurs are missing right now. And I don't think it'll ever be like that in terms of the way we play now. We play such attacking football. It'll be hard in the sense where, you might concede a few goals. But yeah, it has to be Toby and Jan. Left back, for me, Danny Rose. Again, he did fall off towards the end, but I think that was more of a dispute with the club rather than his actual ability. Of course, it did have something to do with it. Before I'm going to quickly run through it. Moussa Dembele, I feel like we see in Antonio Rudiger say how underrated of a player he was. And from Spurs' perspective, they say he's the best they've ever seen. Beside Moussa Dembele, I would go with Luka Modric. Left wing, I would go with Gareth Bale. Up top, Harry Kane. Actually, right wing, I'll go Gareth Bale. Left wing, I'll go Heung-min Son. I'm missing one. I think I'll go with a player that I love, and it has to be Eriksen. Eriksen's such an underrated player, man. There was a point in time where he was one of the best 10s in the league. Just grand, nothing more, nothing less. That will do. Alex, if you're in here, that does the job. Ended up with this Diaz to Foden. Love that. Liam, if you're in here, welcome. And always doing some good posts on Twitter. If you're in here, my guy, let me give you a follow. Again, if you're wondering, I keep the following low only because when I'm streaming, I want to try get the accounts that I know will have good information on my timeline. Other than that, I actually genuinely don't use Twitter too much. Only because I don't have much time recently. Last year, of course, I was posting a lot about my own season, but now it's because I'm just busy in my final year. I actually don't use it too much. Liam, if you're in here, let us know. Diaz to McNeil. Love that. Again, everyone getting rid of Diaz just before the news, of course. Eze to Brennan Johnson, Wildcard 9, surely agreeing. Double Spurs, maybe. Differential captaincy Hall, hopefully. Solid team, Salah captain. See how I knew Liam was in here. He's always in here. And I just knew it, man. Cheers for the support, Liam. We appreciate people like you, man. Consistently in here. And even after the deadline. I wish you the best of luck, says Armin. Cheers, Armin. I started Diaz, not playing it safe. Interesting. FPL Doctor, another person who is always in here. Trent, Diaz to Aït-Nouri and Palmer. I don't know how I feel about that Aït-Nouri pick, but yeah, definitely a bit of a punt, and I love that FPL Doctor. Tony Fungus says, can't listen right now, but hate from Ireland. Now I wonder, do people genuinely still hate Ireland? In a sense, I know England and Ireland have their beef, but especially because I sit somewhere in the middle where I'm fully Irish, but on paper I don't look it. I suppose I think that's the best way to put it. But yeah, I never get hate for being Irish. It's actually a bit of a draw. Chai, prediction for goals of Arsenal today. I said it could be potentially 6-1. Something crazy. Southampton just probably looked the worst team in the league, I would say. I'll fight against your Haaland, bro. Do your thing. Strand Larson up top and Liam Am I tripping or am I seeing this right? Lads, shout out to this guy. But that is insane. I don't know what the thought process is. But fair play. Hope it works out for you, pal. Ross got Kuna. Yeah, I wonder what Ross ended up with. Double Spurs attack good, absolutely. Come to the library, says Tidy Fungus. Potentially. Not feeling great though. Alright, let's do a scroll on our timeline before we get to team news. Don't you hate the way the cap doesn't come off the bottles anymore, says Roger. So this bottle is green, so the top of it is green screened. But yeah, it is fairly annoying. But it's just to do with the new process of getting money for your bottles, I suppose. There's a method behind the madness, says Downtown. Harry is locked in. Another solid team. Mavididi instead of Smith Rowe. So Szoboszlai benched. Yes, Szoboszlai is benched. And Diaz is also benched. FPL, or Let's Talk FPL Andy. Locked in. Bruno Fernandes gets another start for him. Interesting team. He's got the exact same setup as me. Similarly, anyway. I really like that. FPL Focal brings in BJ and Paro. Let me hit him with a Kais. What uni did you go to? I go to Setu. Roll with 3 free transfers after the international break. I love that. I think it's going to be important to have your free transfers going into the international break. We always see some sort of bullshit injury. The Lap will score a brace today. Interesting. Don't get me wrong, West Ham are struggling, but I think they'll net a few past Ipswich today. Particularly Jared Bowen. Went Diaz to Johnson instead of just playing Wood. Do you think it will work out? Yes, personally I would have just played Wood myself though. Alright. Let's pray we can get a green. We should get team news very, very soon. Vardy in 24. Chess Quickie says, got to go. Choi, great stream. Thank you for joining me, lads. Again, we are just waiting for some team news and then we will be heading. Of course, we have the Liverpool one, but I want to see the Crystal Palace one. What was the idea of starting Bruno Fernandes? Look, let me. It's after updating, so I can't even show you. He's good underlying numbers, right? And another thing to do with that is FPL review. I want to say, for me, I don't use review. I genuinely chose Bruno from my heart, but review really likes Bruno Fernandes, and it's for a lot of reasons in terms of free kicks, penalties, and if United are going to do anything, they're still considered maybe in between top 6 and top 8 in terms of projected to finish this season. And if they're going to be anywhere near that place in the league, Bruno Fernandes is going to be involved. Real ones know it's WIT. Absolutely. NXHGFGX45SDF. Do I know you, NXH? Let us know in chat. If I do, give me initials if you don't want to say your name. Imagine a third red card for Bruno Fernandes. I would love it. Love it, love it, love it. Inject it into my veins. Two free transfers next week to transfer Watkins and Trossard out for DCL and Son. I don't think Son is going to start this game week. I think Son will eventually become an option though. And he will differentiate you from the likes of a Palmer and Foden. Of course, we get to see it from Son. At the start of the season, I went with Son. And was it a mistake? No. Again, we just underperformed and we had really high XG against some the first 5 games, but we just didn't convert. But yeah, it is what it is. 2 free transfers next week to transfer Watkins and transfer it out for DCL and Son. Yeah, no, I do like those moves. How have we got team news yet? I think it's about a minute away. Do you reckon Captain Salah will backfire? What you have to remember is it only takes the likes of a Salah to score 1 goal and to be on a 20-pointer. I don't know if the same can be said with Haaland, but why not? Raul Doshi says he's more of a Spurs fan than me this week. You're probably right. Again, I'd like to differentiate me being a Spurs fan and me being an FPL player, because if I bring in the Spurs boys and we don't do well against Brighton, it's a double bubble and I feel like shit for the week. I know we often speak about FPL shouldn't affect us much, it's only a game or whatever, but in general, football puts me in a mood. Football and FPL, as you can imagine, you know, not a great combo if you don't do well. And that's just being blatantly honest. Alright, team news is out, apparently, so let's look at Crystal Palace. Actually, let's do Liverpool first, even though we know the team. Alisson, Van Dijk, Konate, McAllister, Salah, Jones, Gakpo, Jota, Shimikas. Did we see in the leak that it was Shimikas? Oh, it's Robertson, and the official team is Shimikas. Interesting. I wonder did he pick up a late knock or something. Now I definitely feel like Eze can score. By the way, come back to me when we see an Eze goal. You heard it here first. Don't be surprised. Alright, no surprises in that team other than Shimikas. Let's go to Crystal Palace. What is going on? Work, please. No Diaz, no Robertson. Yeah, I don't think many of us were expecting that. Muno, Shalaba, Henderson, Gehi, Lacri, Mitchell, Alerma, Wharton, Eze, Sarr, and Nketiah. No big man Philippe Mateta. Mateta on the bench. I can't imagine that sitting well with him. Spawn Cop had the exact same team, so probably a late change. Yeah, that's why I wanted to stay for the lineup. I felt like something, you know, until we get actual team lineups, until an hour before the game, something can always change. But yeah, this team is interesting. Sarr starting up top instead of Mateta and Nketiah on the wing. Kamada, of course, on the bench. Ollie Glasner not happy with the team. No surprise to see some changes. And Shalaba is, of course, in. Means Eze is on pens for the game as well. That's a good point. Let me make a post about that as well, actually. Pull a few feathers here, will we? Liverpool fans are not going to like that, but I'm going to post it anyway. You can just say Hakuna Matata. Hakuna Matata. Where are we? Hakuna Kamada. One even better. There you go. That's what I meant to say. Ben Carell triple captain Saka. What? Did he? What? This is what I love to see. If it's true. You're pulling my leg. I don't see no white armband. How could you do that to me, man? Try on the wind-up, absolutely. I'm praying Eze doesn't hold because I just sold him for Johnson. Man, I can't believe people sold him. No, genuinely, I did say, again, he's not after Haaland. Liverpool's going to be a hard game, but I just genuinely feel like I can see something from Eze today. The early kickoff as well, might I add. And people sold Eze. It is the most FPL thing ever for Eze to haul. I missed the deadline, said Red Devil. If it makes it feel any better, well, you didn't miss me. You're still here. Welcome to the stream. I apologize you missed it, but, you know, shit happens. And it might work out better for you. Yeah, so, let me speak about Wildcard 6. You can only take your little microtransactions that you do on a week basis into consideration on how you play the game. After you do that, you can't do anything else about the team you've picked. On my wildcard, I had the option of Diaz, and I did think it was a bit of a trap. 8 million for an asset who's getting 70 minutes a week, also in the Champions League and likely to be rotated. Didn't tickle my fancy. Now I go into a week with Kai Havertz on the back of scoring 7 home goals in a row. On for 8th. I mean, Frank says, Chai, thank you so much for the stream, man. Without this, I would have played Sabo over Eze. No problem. No problem at all, man. What I would say is, I hope Eze works out for you. It is what it is. Let me see if there's any little angry Eze owners. Oh, brilliant. Okay. We are going to wrap up the stream there. Love how the stream is going beyond the deadline. No problem, man. I'll continue to do it. Before you leave, to the 150 that are in here, do me a favor, please, and hit that like button. I don't know how many likes we're on. Maybe we can hit 150, or if it's on 90, maybe we can hit 100. If it's on 150 already, hopefully we can hit 200. That is me, and I appreciate all of you for tuning in. Best of luck this game week, and see you for the Eze haul.